waters. You know, but does anybody really know what a navigable waterway is? Anybody? It's really even hard to say, right? So, this is what I'm going to tell you. Right now, these are the bills that are being turned into law by Parliament and the Senate. Bill C-27, the First Nations Financial Transparency Act. Canadians and the public will be able to scrutinize and criticize every dime that your band gets for funding to spend on you. Opening all the finances to the Canadian public means that there will be a never-ending stream of criticism and accusations by the Canadian public to First Nations communities. Failure to comply will result in a court order and third-party management cutting off all funds to the bands until they are in compliance with the Canadian law. Bullshit. Bill C-428, the Indian Act Amendment and Replacement Act. How many of you know that you are under the Indian Act? Your very lives, your reserve, everything that we do is underneath the Indian Act. We are the only peoples in the whole entire world that have legislation set apart to keep us in a paternalistic state.
Damn right!
The objective of the bill is to entirely repeal the Indian Act. The Act right now at least protects the reserves. Without it, the reserves will just be municipalities, just like cities, under provincial jurisdictions. We never negotiated the treaties with the provinces. In the international arena, the provinces have no jurisdiction. So why are we going to do it now? The lands could be expropriated for mining and development by the provinces. Shame. Now, the Bill C-45 Omnibus Bill. The Indian Act changes regarding lease and surrender of First Nations land in this bill. This was passed this week without any consultation with the First Nations.
No way!
And it will be law. It is passed through the final reading in the House of Commons, and it will be before the Senate. And before you know it, that 420-page document will be implemented into our lives without any say. This new law changes the rules and makes it easier for First Nations lands to be surrendered. So the little tiny percentage of lands that we still have in our vast country, we will now lose. Just like the United States did way back when. They're following their policies and they plan to terminate our lands and our relationship to the lands. Because that's where we're derived from. That's where we gain our collective rights from, is from the land. They want to sever that relationship so they can sever those ties. This is the first step in making private ownership of First Nations land possible. It completely undermines collective rights. And as a people, we are defined as having collective rights. The lands that are leased or surrendered will become under provincial jurisdiction. These leases will be legally binding even if the majority of the band members oppose. The Navigable Waters Protection Act. The amendments to the Navigable Waters Protection Act have removed federal environmental oversight for most of our lakes and rivers in Canada, including our Bow River. Our Bow River is the source of drinking water for Calgarians, for Tsutina, and for Siksika. Did you know that your water is no longer protected? There are no provincial environmental regulations that exist to safeguard our lakes and our water streams. Before December 5th, there were 2.5 million lakes and rivers protected under federal environmental laws. As of December 6th, there are only 82. The Minister of Transport will also have the authority to approve the development projects like mining, bridges, buildings, and pipelines, and they affect the major 167 lakes, rivers, and oceans. The Minister does not need to take into account First Nations rights, title, perspective, or interest when approving any of these projects. Bill S-2, the Family Homes on Reserve and Matrimonial Interest Rights. That sounds great, and it sounds like they'd be helping our people, but no. What it actually does, it removes First Nations bylaws that are already written and will replace it with matrimonial law. This will give equal rights to non-Indians over homes and lands on reserve. in instances of divorce, regardless of how long they were married. If a non-native spouse accuses the native spouse of abuse, even without the charge by police, without notifying the band, the judge can give the non-Indian spouse full occupation of the house and lands, and the judge can extend it for the entire life of the non-native person. We don't even get that. The First Nations Election Act. These bands can opt in to the new rules in order to get 4-year terms for their chiefs. According to the new rules, they will be able to do this without any community support and without a band or community resolution. In order to opt in, they must also opt into all the new rules that go along with the Act, such as the First Nation members who protest or oppose the results of any band elections will be sent to jail and fined $5,000. There will no longer be a federal way to appeal band election results, and the bands now fall under provincial jurisdiction. They're turning us into municipalities. They're trying to take away our state sovereignty. Under this new act, the Minister of Indian Affairs now has the power to toss out the chief and council elected if they are elected under band custom election codes, and they can impose any new rules on the band. All of these changes are giving the Minister of Indian Affairs more power over our rights. Powers we don't even have as citizens. The reason why we're doing this is because we need to stand up. The time is now. Look at all the youth in the audience. This is amazing because it's the power of the youth that need to come forward and learn your rights. Our elders spoke about how it's our responsibility to uphold the rights. And now you have to uphold your treaty rights because you have to think of the future generations. If you pollute one lake and one river, it's going to affect everywhere. It's like a ripple effect. You know, when last week I was sick and I really wanted to go to the Idle No More gathering that was up in Louisville, you know, because I knew that that was the start of something amazing. And then during the week, I saw the chiefs march on Parliament Hill. Chief Wallace Fox go to the front, go up there and barge in, and wanted to go to the front floor of the House of Commons to address. And they were turned away by police and escorted out. Our chiefs don't even have a way to communicate with the government. It is falling on deaf ears. It is time for us as the people. We need to do it. We can't rely on leadership anymore. The time is now.